Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to learn about HTML tables and forms. The contents of the presentation are introducing tables, styling tables, introducing forms, form control elements, table and form accessibility, microformats. Introducing tables. A table in HTML is created using the table element and can be used to represent information that exists in a two-dimensional grid. Tables can be used to display calendars, financial data, pricing tables, and many other types of data. HTML table can contain any type of data like numbers, text, images, forms, even other tables. Basic table structure. HTML table element contains any number of rows. Each row contains any number of table data cells. Some browsers do not display borders for the table by default. Many tables will contain some type of headings in the first row. In HTML, we indicate header data by using the table header element instead of the table data element because browsers tend to make the content within the table header element bold. We should use the table header element for accessibility reasons and for search engine optimization reasons. This shows the syntax for the basic table structure. Spanning rows and columns. Two key features about tables are: the first is that all content must appear within the TD or TH containers. The second is that each row must have the same number of TD or TH containers. There is a way to change the second behavior or feature. If we want a given cell to cover several columns or rows, then we can do so by using the col span or row span attributes. These are the examples of spanning columns and spanning rows. Styling tables. First is the table borders. Borders can be assigned to the table element, TH and the TD element. Interestingly, borders cannot be assigned to the table row, table head, table foot and table body elements. This property selects the table's border model. In this approach, each cell has its own unique borders. We can adjust the space between these adjacent borders via the border spacing property. The next is boxes and zebras. There are different ways to style a table. The first of these is a box format, in which we simply add background colors and borders in various ways. We can then add special styling to the hover pseudo class of the tr element to highlight in a row when the mouse cursor hovers over a cell. Introducing forms. Forms provide an alternative way to interact with the web server. Forms provide a much richer mechanism. Using a form, the user can enter text, choose items from the list, and click buttons. Typically, programs running on the server will take the input from HTML forms and do something with subsequent HTML based on that input. There are controls for entering text, controls for choosing from a list, buttons, checkboxes, and radio buttons. HTML5 has added a number of new controls as well as more customization options for the existing controls. Form structure. A form is constructed in HTML in the same manner as tables or lists, that is, using special HTML elements form. The form is defined by a form element, which is a container for other elements that represent the various input elements within the form, as well as plain text and almost any other HTML element. Form control elements. They include text input controls. Most forms need to gather text information from the user, whether it is a search box or a login form or a user registration form. Some type of text input is usually necessary. The next comes choice controls. Forms often need the user to select an option from a group of choices. HTML provides several ways to do it. First is select lists. The select element is used to create a multi-line box for selecting one or more items. The options can be hidden in a drop-down list or multiple rows of the list can be visible. Option items can be grouped together via the opt group element. The selected attribute in the option makes it a default value. The next is radio buttons. Radio buttons are useful when we want the user to select a single item from a small list of choices and we want all the choices to be visible. Radio buttons are added via the input type equals radio element. The buttons are made mutually exclusive, that is, only one can be chosen by sharing the same name attribute. The third are checkboxes. Checkboxes are used for getting yes or no or on or off responses from the user. Checkboxes are added via the input type is equal to checkbox element. We can also group checkboxes together by having them share the same name attribute. Each checked checkbox will have its value sent to the server. Like with radio buttons, the checked attribute can be used to set the default value of a checkbox. Button controls. HTML defines several different types of buttons. Some of them are submit, which creates a button that submits the form data to the server. Reset creates a button that clears any of the user's already entered form data. Button creates a custom button. This button may require JavaScript for it to actually perform any action. Image creates a custom submit button that uses an image for its display. Specialized controls. There are two important additional special purpose form controls that are available in all browsers. The specialized form control is the input type equals file element, which is used to upload a file from the client to the server. The form element must use the post method and that it must conclude the encrypt multipart/form data attribute as well. Date and time controls. Asking the user to enter a date or time is a relatively common web development task. Like with numbers, dates and times often need validation when gathering this information from a regular text input control. From a user's perspective, entering dates can be tricky as well. You probably have wondered at some point in time when entering a date into a web form what format to enter it, whether the day comes before the month, whether the month should be entered as an abbreviation or a number, and so on. Table and form accessibility. Problems. Colorblind users might have trouble differentiating certain colors in proximity. Users with muscle control problems may have difficulty using a mouse, while older users may have trouble with small text and image sizes. The term web accessibility refers to the assistive technologies, various features of HTML that work with those technologies, and different coding and design practices that can make a site more usable for people with visual, mobility, auditory, and cognitive disabilities. Microformats. The idea behind microformats is that if this type of common information were tagged in similar ways, then automated tools would be able to gather and transform it. Thus, a microformat is a small pattern of HTML markup and attributes to represent common blocks of information such as people, events, and news stories so that the information in them can be extracted and indexed by software agents. One of the most common microformats is hcard, which is used to semantically mark up contact information for a person. Google Maps search results now make use of the hcard microformat. Here is an example code for microformats. We can see the server harvesting microformat information, and the same information is being supplied in the form of hnews and hcards and can be retrieved at different websites. Thank you.